Today I'm going to talk about different kinds of gopher traps that work for me. This one is called the Maccabee, and it's a pretty standard one, and it's the cheapest one of all these to purchase. To set a Maccabee, I like getting something down here that's hard, because you have to have this little piece here. You have to push this up like this, and you have to have this centered. You can see it's a little bit tricky to do it. Now this time it should work. So you have to pull that little piece over that, and then this here goes into that hole like that, and then you can hold it like this when you put the trap into the hole. I like to attach a piece of string or twine to it, because sometimes the gopher, if it gets caught, will pull your trap into the hole and you'll never find it again. So you dig your hole out deep enough to where the hole starts to sort of flatten out. This is actually a really deep hole, and you put it all the way in as far as you can down into the hole. I mean, that is not as deep as I would like to see it, but that works pretty well. What I would do next is I would slightly cover this with straw, maybe like this, still allowing air to go in, because it's the air that bothers them, and then they come up and hope to stuff their hole. So I would put that there. So that's one. I'm just going to show you that one.
Would you stake it?
Oh, and then what I would do is I would put this here, because sometimes I just really forget where my gophers are, and then I would attach this to something like a wire here, or a stake, or something like that. If you take it out and you need to untrip it, I just do it like that, far away, because sometimes it kind of jumps. So the next one that I'm going to do, this is called a cinch trap, C-I-N-C-H, and this is another good gopher trap that I like to use. It's a little bit hard to start and get set with my hands, because this is really strong spring on this. So, you know, it's probably best to do this with gloves on, just in case. So that goes over like that. This goes over like that. And then this here, right here, you have to push it so it goes like that. I usually like to stand these up here and this up here, and to push this slightly that way if I can get it to all stand up. That way it doesn't get kind of stuck. So what happens is the gopher runs in through here, pushes this back, and then the whole thing goes up and around him. So there are two different kinds. This is a mole cinch trap, and then they have a bigger one that's gopher, but sometimes this is plenty for the gopher. Big traps are, you know, for really giant gophers. So if this was me, you hold it right here so that it's all set right there. And you're going to let that go once you get it into the hole. So you place it into the hole. Ideally, this hole would be a little bigger. I would probably need to dig it out a little better. But anyway, this one is kind of a problematic hole, because it's really deep. This is about a foot deep. A lot of times they're not that deep. But that's basically the cinch. So to undo the cinch, you just take something and tap that back, and that's what it does. Now, my latest sort of favorite gopher trap is called the Gopher Hawk. And the reason I like this is I typically don't have to dig a deep hole like this. I would buy it, when you buy it the first time, buy it with the probe, which is really nice. It sits inside this thing. So I'm going to show you, we're going to go over to another part of the garden next. So here we are at another part of the garden, and I've had some gopher activity in this bed. I've already had to replace 3 plants over here, and today I was just probing around with this. So what's nice is you can just put this into the ground anywhere, and if it falls through really easy, then you've actually found a gopher tunnel. But if you have some resistance like I'm getting here, there isn't a tunnel there. But right here, if you put it in right around in here, I get some not very much resistance. So I'm assuming there's a hole in here, right here. See how it went straight in like that. So what you do next is you take the probe and put it onto the end of this piece, this long piece, and then what you do is you put this into the ground like this, and you wiggle it down till it goes into the tunnel, and then it usually falls through into the tunnel. You can tell when you're into the tunnel, and then you just remove this up like that. And next you take this part, which is the trap, and you just put it in like this all the way to the bottom of the run like that, and then you take your hand here and you're gonna hold this top part like this with one hand and pull this up. You don't push down, but you're just holding this in place and pulling this up. And what it does is it sets a cage in there. So let me show you what is going on in there. So it pulled out this cage, and you see that little dongle right there? Well, the gopher runs through and the dongle sets the trap off, releases the spring, and pulls a gopher up, and you catch a gopher that way. So to release this one, you need to hit it against something hard. Watch this. And it goes in like that. So when you've caught a gopher, so what I really like about this trap is when your spring has been released and you probably have caught a gopher, you see this yellow here. Normally it would just be gray, and then once the spring is sprung, it turns yellow. So I really like that. I don't have to dig it up to check it or anything like that. So that's the 3 gopher traps I like. Have fun.